We have one last award tonight. It goes to a series of influential and illuminating television interviews by a skillful, veteran reporter, the kind of interviews that make any broadcaster think, I wish I'd asked that question just that way. In a political season full of interviews with leading candidates, CBS News anchor and managing editor Katie Couric's apt and determined questioning of Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin prompted the most revealing remarks and had the greatest impact on the presidential campaign and on late-night comedy. For those wanting to know more about the late-arriving candidate, Couric's nimble questions and neutral tone elicited answers on the issues. Let's watch excerpts from 3 of Couric's interviews with former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin.
You've said, quote, John McCain will reform the way Wall Street does business. Other than supporting stricter regulations of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac 2 years ago, can you give us any more examples of his leading the charge for more oversight?
I think that the example that you just cited with his warnings 2 years ago about Fannie and Freddie, that's paramount. That's more than a heck of a lot of other senators and representatives did for us.
But he's been in Congress for 26 years. He's been chairman of the Powerful Commerce Committee, and he is almost always sided with less regulation, not more.
He's also known as the Maverick, though, taking shots from his own party and certainly taking shots from the other party, trying to get people to understand what he's been talking about, the need to reform government.
I'm just going to ask you one more time, not to belabor the point, specific examples in his 26 years of pushing for more regulation.
I'll try to find you some and I'll bring them to you.
And when it comes to establishing your worldview, I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this to stay informed and to understand the world?
I've read most of them, again, with a great appreciation for the press, for the media.
But like what one specifically? I'm curious that you...
all of them, any of them that have been in front of me over all these years. I have a vast variety of sources.
Governor Palin, are you two on the same page?
We had a great discussion with President Zardari as we talked about what it is that America can and should be doing together to make sure that the terrorists do not cross borders and do not ultimately put themselves in a position of attacking America again or her allies. And we will do what we have to do to secure the United States of America and her allies.
Is that something you shouldn't say out loud, Senator McCain?
Of course not. But look, I understand this day and age gotcha journalism. Was that a pizza place? In a conversation with someone who you didn't hear the question very well, you don't know the context of the conversation, grab a phrase. Governor Palin and I agree that you don't announce that you're going to attack another country.
Are you sorry you said it, Governor?
In fact, wait a minute. Before you say, is she sorry she said it? This was a gotcha soundbite that, well, she was
It wasn't a gotcha. She was talking to a voter.
She was in a conversation with a group of people and talking back and forth. And I'll let Governor Palin speak for herself.
In fact, you're absolutely right on. In the context, this was a voter, a constituent, hollering out a question from across an area, asking, what are you going to do about Pakistan? You better have an answer to Pakistan. I said, we're going to do what we have to do to protect the United States of America.
You were pretty specific about what you wanted to do, cross-border.
Well, as Senator McCain is suggesting here also, never would our administration get out there and show our cards to terrorists, in this case to enemies, and let them know what the game plan was, not when that could ultimately adversely affect a plan to keep America secure.
What did you learn from that experience?
That this is all about gotcha journalism. A lot of it is, but that's okay too.
Never has a two-shot been so telling. Please welcome CBS News anchor and managing editor Katie Couric.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to all the winners tonight. I am so inspired and moved and humbled by the work that I've seen, and And it's just exciting to see people in our business still informing the public and elevating the conversation. So thank you to all of you. Getting back to those interviews, which actually make me kind of uncomfortable watching them for the 78th time. These were certainly the most talked about interviews that I have ever done. In fact, cab drivers in New York and fellow travelers at the airport still comment on these interviews. Some say thank you, some don't, even though it's been well over a year since they aired. You know, when I was told that I would have an opportunity to interview Governor Sarah Palin, my goal was a simple one. Since there had been few opportunities to introduce her to the voting public in an unscripted setting, I wanted to find out where Governor Palin stood on a variety of critically important issues and help her communicate those positions to the American people. That was my only agenda. The much derided MSM, mainstream media, clearly still has a role in these increasingly partisan times. Had I been a journalist who unabashedly expresses his or her political point of view, be it on the left or the right, I believe the impact of these interviews would have been seriously diminished. While Governor Palin has complained about the way in which these interviews were conducted and my intentions, I feel I did the job that I was supposed to do. I also felt vindicated by Senator McCain, who, after the interview I conducted with the two of them that we just watched, said to me, with the cameras rolling, "I just want to say thank you very much for the in-depth interviews that you've done with me and with Governor Palin. I think it's helped inform the American people. You're very tough, but I think you're very fair." It was also gratifying to have Steve Schmidt, the McCain campaign strategist, say recently on 60 Minutes, "I don't think Katie Couric asked one unfair question." I did, however, ask plenty of follow-up questions. In fact, I think this interview, or this series of interviews, proves that follow-up questions are absolutely critical in an era when all too often non-answer answers are given and too readily accepted. Thank you so much to Columbia University and to the DuPont panel. You know, I once got a Peabody Award for the on-air colonoscopy I did on the Today Show. And to be honest, although it was quite bittersweet for personal reasons, it was a thrill. But to be given this award really is as a validation of pure journalism and as a validation of my ability to be a practitioner of that is just enormously exciting. So thank you all so much.